Hi, I'm Joel Bloom, president of New Jersey Institute of Technology. At NJIT, we believe that not only our students, but all citizens need to be informed about the issues facing higher education. As New Jersey's Science and Technology University, NJIT is proud to support the important programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by
ShopRite Supermarkets,
the Fidelco Group,
ADP, a comprehensive provider of human resources technology and services,
the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, founded by the Jewish community, University Hospital, Newark, New Jersey, the Russell Berry Foundation, and by NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Promotional support provided by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association.
and by bestofnj.com, covering all New Jersey has to offer.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Welcome to the Tisch WNET studio here in the heart of Lincoln Center. The greatest thing, one of the greatest things about being in the studio is you get the most talented people, actors, right here on Broadway.
Wow.
Alison Wright, Michelle Wilson, starring in Sweat, a new play over at the Studio 54 on West 54th Street. Play takes place in Reading, Pennsylvania, in a bar. Is that the primary scene?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Pulitzer Prize-winning play. Now, we're going to show some pictures. Sweat is about what?
It's about a community in Reading, Pennsylvania, folks who have worked together for decades, and we go through the good times with them, and it switches to when things start to fall apart due to deindustrialization. So, and the toll it takes on the community.
People they're losing jobs, losing faith. There's tension, there's anger, resentment. Is real life.
Yes, it is.
The timing of this, particularly after, I don't want to get political,
Right.
particularly after the 2016 election, the reaction to it, it's interesting. Do you think different in connection with where we are in America right now, politically?
Well, I think election aside and that sort of idea of the thought aside, it's really, Lynn has captured this time in America where these cities that were dedicated to these plants and factories and American institutions that were rooted there, and their fathers had worked there, or their grandfathers had worked there, or their mothers and their grandmothers. And that was kind of their piece of the American dream that they expected to have and that they invested in. And there's been many places across America where that has been taken away from Americans when they didn't expect it to be. So that's really what this play is about and what Lynn wrote the play about. Almost the disappearance, Lynn Nottage.
Yes.
Double Pulitzer Prize winner, Lynn Nottage. I think that's the moment in time of America that she's captured more than commenting on anything political.
Yeah. Because it takes place in 2000 and 2008. So this is a decade ago. People have been suffering for a long time and have felt invisible. And what she does so well is she casts a light on a part of America that a lot of us have actually forgotten.
And as she puts it, she was curious about it. She wanted to replace judgment of this sort with curiosity. And that's the result, the play that we have now.
So interesting. We were just having a conversation during lunch about race and how easy or difficult it is to talk, really actually how difficult it is to talk about race. Is race a part of this discussion?
Oh, it definitely is. And what's interesting about what Lynn has created is that it's a thread, right? So the race is a thread of the American story. And these friends love each other, and you see them in good times really protecting each other, their loyalty, and then when bad times show up, you can see how they start to fracture.
Because?
And it starts to fracture along racial lines because I think it's part of human nature to want someone to blame, right? Why is this happening? And they start pointing at each other.
Because it's got to be somebody's fault.
It's got to be somebody's fault.
It's some
right? And we've sunk so much of our lives into this town, into this factory. We did everything we were supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, your characters, okay. Yes. You play Jesse. Describe Jesse.
Jesse is great friends with Cynthia and Tracy, the women in the bar.
Cynthia?
I'm Cynthia.
There's 3 women, and their husbands and their children. They're all one very tight unit. She's worked there for more than 20 years. And we
in the bar?
In the factory. They're all in the factory together every day. They hang out pretty much every night.
But they go there after almost every day?
They're a real unit, okay. Yeah.
You're not judging.
A lot of the...
You drink after a hard day of work.
That's right.
And there's a great camaraderie and familiarity, of course, and shorthand with them in the bar. Jesse's husband, unfortunately, left her recently. Her husband of also more than 20 years and has just remarried. So at the start of the play, she's a bit of an emotional wreck and drinking far too much at the beginning of the play to deal with the pain that she's going through before any of all of the work difficulties and the cracks in these relationships happen. That's where she begins. So she's not even beginning in such a great place, but they're great friends and people go through stuff and her friends are supporting her through it and they're putting up with her while she's being a bit ridiculous and having too many drinks and they're carrying her through this part of her life.
And Cynthia, describe your character.
Cynthia has worked in the factory for over 24 years, the steel tubing plant, Olsted's, and she has a son and a husband, and things are falling apart for her family. Her husband has been laid off for, over a year,
right.
And he's dealing with the effects of that. They're separated at the beginning of the show, and but in Olsted's, in her world, things are going well. She wants to go for a management position, after being on the floor for 24 years. She feels very hopeful and ambitious, and things just start to crumble. And we just see how, things fray when economic fortunes turn.
The role of gender in this, the fact that women have played such a big part in this, the playwright, the director, women. Does it matter in terms of the content that is put out that women are playing such a dominant role in putting this together?
I think so. I mean, just the fact that Lynn Nottage is so curious and brave, right? This was not her perspective. She went to Reading for 2 years with just an open mind. And I think there's something very feminine about that, just an openness. And not know what you're going to find, but you know that this is one of the poorest cities of its size in the country.
That's right.
And you just go to build relationships and to talk to people.
To learn.
To learn. There's an openness and a bravery that I feel is very female. And then you have Kate Wariski, who entered the process with her probably a year after she started the interviews. And Kate is so specific, right? So when, when Lynn put together, Kate is the director.
Sorry.
And when she put this material together, Kate is so specific about what works and what doesn't, and to keep pushing you. For me, past my comfort zone often, which got beautiful results, but at the time you feel so vulnerable and so, open. So I think there's something about the women who created this piece focusing on women whose fortunes are changing.
So you were in Raisin in the Sun.
I understudied Raisin in the Sun on Broadway.
And this is your debut on Broadway?
It is.
I'm going to ask, immediately when you started working together, connection, chemistry, right? Stupid question, I know. What happens when you first start working together?
It's not a stupid question because you never know what it's going to be. In this particular instance, the entire cast was together and had been performing this play at the Public off-Broadway. The actress that had my role wasn't able to move to Broadway. So a little window opened and I got a little shot and I jumped in there and luckily, so I jumped into this fully formed unit, family, production, play. It was already fully formed and it's been a fantastic experience, but chemistry isn't always guaranteed, no. We're all very lucky in this case. Yeah. And it is a heavy play, dealing with a lot of heavy things. that feel really important because they're actually happening right now today outside the door.
That's right.
They're not a story about something that happened 100 years ago. So it feels very important and relevant and timely. That being said, thank God, everyone's hilarious and ridiculous and a joker, and there's a ton of just shenanigans going on all the time. So that, is a joy and not always what you
Where
get.
did you get your Brooklyn accent?
I grew up in England, in the Lake District, and then in the northeast of England. But I've been in New York for 20 years already now.
Yeah, you had to do that, right? And you grew up, Michelle?
In Detroit, Michigan, USA, the Motor City.
Absolutely. Well, listen, do you mind if I let people know?
Could you please?
Absolutely. Alison and Michelle are performing in Sweat, which is at Studio 54.
Yes.
The
famed.
That's right. At 54th Street. By the way, 254 West 54th Street. Some of us actually were there on the back end. You're too young to have been there. Don't
Did
point
you go?
Yeah. What's this?
Let's
Did you
talk
go?
about that.
We'll talk about it off camera.
That.
There was a balcony. Never mind.
Yeah.
Listen, we'll be right back right after this.
To watch more one-on-one with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
The public television family is honored to have back with us the Val Skinner LPGA Tour professional, golf analyst, and founder of the Val Skinner Foundation. How you doing?
I'm good. I came to see if your golf game's any better.
Oh, you can hit me right away. I thought you'd wait at least a minute for that.
Do you know you played in the very first event we hosted to support the foundation?
I did.
You were part of the best-looking guy in the audience. I was like, let me see a swing. What's he got? Does he have anything real? What's going on?
I know. Don't even talk about it. I've been a 13, 14 forever. How come I didn't know?
It looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, leave it at that. Hey, by the way, talk about the Life event. Make sure everybody understands why it's so important.
Life is LPGA pros in the fight to eradicate breast cancer. I founded it in 2000. We're on our 18th. Can't believe it. A lot of money raised at this point. We're from the event itself, we're at about 11 million. But beyond that, we've raised money for a couple of additional events that we do and different things that we've gotten into over the years. But it's the best women golfers in the world gathered here, coming right off the ShopRite Classic, and it's been really successful and healthy. And we have a number of programs to tell you about. But it's really Life came out of our dear friend, Heather Farr, who
That's right.
we lost at 28, misdiagnosed at 24, and I launched a national campaign for young women because she asked me to. And I didn't know how to do it, but I came up with the name and then, just tried to find good life partners and corporate sponsorship to help us raise money and get to that point.
And the professional golfers continue to be committed.
They do.
Because?
I think because, once we started to tell this story, they really understood that, A, they have a platform. They can make a difference. They can speak to people that, in an unusual way that a lot of people can't reach that many people. And I think also they were young women, and they were athletic, and, all of them are athletic. And Heather was athletic and smart and a rising star and on her way, and this hit her, and she had no idea to think that it was real at that point. And that was in 1989 when she was diagnosed, and we lost her in 93. And I think the history and the story as it follows took me a long time to convince anyone to do a Young Women's Initiative, because it wasn't the actual age group that was as impacted. But now I think we've changed the message on the street, and I think the players that come and play for me feel a part of that and feel committed to that, and they see that it could be them.
And the money that is raised is going to such important things. Talk about specifically the research, the work, the impact.
Well, the Cancer Institute of New Jersey, I actually had a scare of my own. I was fine, but I went there and came to understand the meaning of a National Comprehensive Designated Cancer Center. And when I did, I thought this would be a good partner for us, in this mission. And I had raised money, on Heather's behalf prior to, but there wasn't the right family yet. We hadn't figured out the right path yet. And we did some good things, but the Cancer Institute provided the clinical background for us that was needed for young women and women at high risk. And then Komen was the LPGA's national charity at the time, Susan G. Komen, and for the cure. And so I went to them and said, I want to do this. I'll get the money, I'll get the funding if you'll do a strategic plan and help us reach young women. And we built a program called Komen on the Go out of that strategic plan. And Komen on the Go, by the time we were done, total audience was 24 million. Wow. It traveled across college campuses around the country for about 8 years. And that was fabulous, fantastic. It did what it was meant to do in terms of educating young women, changing the message on the street. And our life partners just hung with us. And then we sort of evolved into the new programs that we have now.
And today, there's, what is it? It's called BioConnect,
yeah.
which
comes out of the Life Center, which is at the Cancer Institute of New Jersey, named after our advocacy. We funded a fellowship to create something in the high school setting to educate the youth around breast cancer, age appropriate. And the School of Public Health at Rutgers and now Rutgers Cancer Institute of New Jersey partnered with us, and we continued to fund it, and we built it out throughout New Jersey, built the metrics for the program. And really what it is, Steve, it's cancer genetics in a classroom setting on breast cancer using STEM, you know, science and biology, literacy, as well as technology at the time. And it stood for Biology Online Connecting Teens. But we could only do it and move it so quickly in New Jersey until we went digital. And that's when we found our most recent partner, Discovery Education.
You know, you talk about partners, though. You and I have had this offline conversation for years as people who lead nonprofits. You can't do it without partners. You can't do it without corporate support. And the ShopRite Wakefern family has been, I mean, they're supporters of public broadcasting. They're supporters of this initiative. But the ShopRite Classic, talk about that connection and coming off at the golf event and then coming off it into the life event. Make that connection so people really understand it.
Well, I live in Bay Head in the summer and the Jersey Shore, and so I'm a fan and have always been. I have a little bias towards them. But what's really impressive to me about Wakefern and ShopRite, Steve, is they've raised $31 million with that event over the years, and their consistency is amazing. And I think it's probably one of the largest contributions, you know, from the tour. And it's breast cancer, but it's Special Olympics, it's the food bank, and it's 7 states deep, and they have about a $20 million economic impact.
And that event's coming?
It's June, well, the Life event's June 5th,
That's right.
and they finish this Sunday, so
That's
June
right.
4th. It's Memorial Day weekend, and, huge pro-am, great support, just great people. There you go.
Oh, my God, what a crowd.
I've walked those fairways without Mike.
Tell folks where that is?
Yeah.
The event takes place?
That's at Seaview.
Seaview, down by Atlantic City.
Seaview Resort. Great throwback of great golf and old-time Jersey Shore. Just a perfect environment and setting. And really, it's an amazing field. They capture really the best talent that we have on tour. Right there you see Paula Creamer, Michelle Wee.
Oh, is she good?
Kari Webb, a former champion. But they've had just a stellar lineup. Inkster's won there, McGann, Laura Davies, all the legends that I play the Legends Tour with now.
And you are one of them.
And I am trying to still be one of them, yes.
The game's better and better, isn't it?
It is. It's, technology has made a huge difference in teaching and education and not only in science and precision medicine and cancer genetics and gene expression, but in my golf swing.
Yeah.
So it's
but
really
also
been
the fact that the one thing I've always appreciated about you, one of the many things, Val, is you've taken your athletic skill, your fame, and connected it to making a difference in the lives of other people. And you didn't have to do that. You chose to do that. And so the Public Television family says thank you to Val Skinner,
thank you.
LPGA professional, golf analyst, founder of Val Skinner Foundation, and just want to say thanks.
Thanks for having me. And it's good to see you. You look great.
I had a lot of work done. So stay with us right back, right after this.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
The Public Television family is pleased to welcome Tony Butler, Executive Director of St. John's Bread and Life. Good to see you, Tony.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Your organization is doing great things, particularly in the boroughs of Brooklyn and Queens. What is it?
We're one of the largest emergency feeding programs in the city, doing over 2,600 meals a day for hungry New Yorkers. Viewers should know that 1 in 5 New Yorkers uses emergency food.
1 in 5?
It's like 1.8 million.
Who are these people?
They run from your classic kind of very homeless, poor, disenfranchised folks to working folks. This morning I saw 2 people with TSA uniforms picking up at our food pantry because they're making a choice between rent and food, medicine and food and stuff like that. So we work to respond to that.
So many pieces to this terrific program. The farm to table initiative. That term gets used a lot. Not everybody knows what it means. Go ahead.
I mean, it all comes out of my challenging of the food community to say, look, you provide good food for people with means. What about people without means? So that's launched our partnership with, we have 4 farms where we purchase locally. I'm spending about $200,000 a year for locally sourced produce and milk. We're working, improving our menus and cooking classes and things with local Brooklyn chefs, the kind of happening real hipster Brooklyn food world. And in the fall, we're launching a food service, a job training program to help people move into and kind of move out of poverty, move into the food service industry.
The other thing that's fascinating to me is you have a mobile soup kitchen?
Yeah.
Why mobile and not have people just come to you?
We have both. We have people come to us, but the mobile allows us the flexibility of meeting the needs where they are. 3 of our sites are day laborer sites, people for work. One very interesting site is a women day laborer site.
A women's
day laborer site where they're waiting to be picked up for domestic work. And I have a lot of the kind of traditional problems that women suffer from when they're out there exposed in the world of trafficking and domestic violence and like that. It also allowed us during Sandy to, right that same day of Sandy, to be out there providing emergency food to folks when the power was out, like that. So our mobile allows us that kind of, pardon the pun, mobility to really respond to the needs. And we also have services on the truck. So we help with immigration services. We help people sign up for SNAP benefits.
SNAP is a federal program.
Yes, for food, more commonly known as food stamps. But so we try to replicate those services. So provide the food, meet the immediate need, and then help stabilize people.
How'd you get into this? You've been there 11 years.
11 years. I've been doing kind of charitable work. My whole career comes out of my kind of Catholic religious upbringing. I was a Franciscan friar for 10 years. Prior to this, helped develop housing for the homeless, mentally ill. Worked in North Carolina doing emergency food, which was a whole different world. I crowned Miss Tobacco one year.
What?
It was all tobacco country, and I was invited. I was running the local social service agency, and it was a big honor for the big tobacco parade. And so
you crowned.
We crowned her. That was a whole. I learned more about tobacco than I thought one could possibly know.
So you've seen a good part of this country.
Yeah, yeah. And,
let me ask you this: a philosophical question that is hopefully grounded in reality. Given the statistic you started with, say that again about the number of people.
In New York City, 1 in 5 New Yorkers uses emergency food.
Okay. To what degree do you believe that most of us actually think about and care all that much about those who are struggling and living in a way that you just described?
I think people care episodically about it. You know, we notice at Christmas when these kind of cultural things remind us.
Yeah.
But over the year, and part of my work is to remind people that these are your neighbors. We always think it's those people, or we think it's the lazy poor. I mean, that's very much the conversation that's going on now.
The lazy poor.
Yeah, that it's a classic part of philosophically, I think it's part of our founding of our nation. We were founded as a Calvinist nation, and it says that poverty and sin go together.
That's right, and hard work.
Yeah, which...
hard work
will get you out of poverty.
That's right, that's the Calvinist mentality.
Right. But I've got people working 40, 50 hours a week who can't make it. And they're making choices.
The working poor.
Yeah. Our economic structure is really skewed right now.
It's so interesting. It's a dangerous issue to get into, but your Catholic background, mine may be more similar than you think, because, you know, what we were taught in Catholic school where I went, grammar school, high school, and college. But I'm going to say this. It was always a responsibility that we had to those who, you know, had less. Is that where it came from for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's the classic. It's from the Gospel of Matthew. When did you see me hungry? When did you see me naked? And when you do that, you encounter the divine.
And you take that seriously.
I do. Because I think people are inherently good. They're inherently, if they're created in the image and likeness of God, they're inherently good. They're inherently valuable. Now, sometimes a lot of stuff gets in the way. Sometimes it's harder to see the goodness. But I have to act like that. And it's been fulfilling to act like that. And then, particularly for me, being able to take all those teachings and really create a very systematic, high-tech, our food pantry's digital, really bringing kind of those kind of skills to it and responding to the needs of the folks.
A lot of people have religious backgrounds, but not everyone does what you do every day. Real quick, 30 seconds. What's the digital thing again?
Our digital food pantry, people order off a touchscreen for their food. giving them the foods they need. It drives more nutritious food to them, kind of works so they don't take less nutritious food, and really allows us to understand people's use and need of food so we can respond in a much more efficient and better stewardship.
You were put here to do this work.
I hope so. I hope. Keep doing it and shaking the money trees to keep funding it.
Oh, yeah, you have to do that too, right?
Well, because one of the things folks should know is that the emergency food world's about 90% privately funded. It's not government funded, so it's not your tax dollars going to it.
Kind of like public broadcasting.
Yes, it's very much so.
Tony Butler is executive. I had to get that in. Tony Butler, executive director of St. John's Bread and Life, a terrific organization making a difference in the lives of other people every day. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Tony.
thanks for having me here. It's great. Thanks.
Got it.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by
ShopRite Supermarkets,
the Fidelco Group, ADP, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, University Hospital, Newark, New Jersey, the Russell Berry Foundation, and by NJIT. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
Hi, I'm Eric. You might see me as an ordinary person, but I've been living with a brain injury for nearly 2 years. One of my struggles is short-term memory loss. At Opportunity Project, I'm given hope and support, and I've gained my comments back through the job placement program. Despite my challenges, I have a reason to keep improving. Today, even though life has changed me, I believe that anything is possible.
If you have a brain injury, you don't have to face your road to recovery alone.